I call the Honourable Member Andrew Williams.
Thank you, Mr Speaker, and I rise on behalf of New Zealand First in support of the Southland District Council Stewart Island Rakiura Visitor Levy Empowering Bill, and New Zealand First is certainly in support of this bill. Firstly, can I also endorse the comments of other members in terms of the condolences to the family, whānau and friends of those lost in the Easy Rider tragedy. Fovo Strait, as we all know, is a very unforgiving piece of water and has had many tragedies in the past also, and this latest tragedy is a great shame and a great loss to many in Bluff and Stewart Island. I also would like to comment and applaud the local MP Eric Roy for carrying this through over many years. Apparently this issue goes right back to the 1970s originally, and the islanders have been asking for the last 3 or 4 decades for assistance, and so it is good to see that this is finally coming to be. Also to the chairman of the Select Committee, Chris Ockenville, for helping move this through, and I noticed the chairman just arrived in the chamber a short while ago, obviously to hear the adulations that were going to be bestowed on him in time for that, but also well done for pushing this through. Stewart Island is only a 1-hour ferry ride from the mainland, from the South Island, and 15 minutes by air. But it is a community that is very unique in New Zealand in terms of being the 3rd largest island in the New Zealand nation. And as a result, with only less than 500 people living on that island, it has some unique demands and requirements that many other communities in New Zealand who are not out on an island limb and out in a sense of isolation, in a sense, don't have to put up with. You could imagine what the impact must be when a large cruise ship arrives in port there and several thousand tourists invade what is a small community with less than 500 people, and where there are only 12.8 kilometres of sealed roads and 8.3 kilometres of gravel roads, and where many of the people have to literally walk down the middle of the roads because there are no footpaths and the infrastructure is not able to cope with the tourist numbers that arrive. And over the summer, the New Zealand tourists and international tourists that arrive on ferries too, that put a huge amount of pressure on the likes of public toilets there, on their infrastructure, on their water. They have no reticulated water, and on their basic utilities on the island. And of course we have there the Rakiura National Park, which was opened in 2002, covering some 157,000 hectares of land. 85% of Stewart Island is taken up by that national park, wonderful national park. And having such a wonderful national park brings with it its own pressures and brings with it tourists and all sorts of visitors who wish to see that wonderful piece of native and natural part of New Zealand's bush. Therefore, this is a good step forward to provide a levy that visiting tourists and visitors to the island can help contribute in a small way, a relatively small way, but a significant way to some of the costs to assist the locals. And I applaud the Stewart Island Community Board and also the Southland District Council for pushing this through and being behind this scheme. The local community board has played a pivotal role in bringing this forward, and they're to be congratulated as well on the consultation that they undertook. They put out something like 485 flyers a few years ago, received 129 respondents, and of those 129 that responded, 119 were in support of this levy being implemented. That's a very good result, and it does show that there's strong support for this. New Zealand First does support local initiatives and local choice by local communities. We feel it is up to a local community to determine how they can assist themselves with funding of this nature. We certainly feel this is very appropriate for an island in a situation like this, where they have very limited ways of otherwise securing revenue and income to try and cover the costs of the necessary infrastructure. This is a wise move, and this is a cross-party support. I think is very good that we are all supporting in this House this initiative. It will greatly assist. The $160,000 on the face of it does not seem a lot of money, but if you multiply that over a number of years and you expand that out, it will incrementally provide a good amount of basic infrastructure that they do require. It is ironic that this is being put through this week in terms of what has happened in local government this week. There have been so many things happening in local government in New Zealand, both good and bad this week. And it is perhaps time that we did reflect, the members in this House did reflect on what local government does mean to New Zealand. We are central government here, but we must remember that much of the services and much of the infrastructure around New Zealand and much of the community facilities and the community amenity values that are provided at local government level, certainly with often support from government and funding support from government. But at the end of the day, it is our 70 or 80 local authorities around New Zealand that provide much of the local community infrastructure, and we must be mindful of that. I am very concerned as a former mayor and as a former councillor and former community board member at some aspects of the moves by the government this week in terms of cutting into local government. Certainly there are savings to be made, certainly there are savings to be had, and certainly we can be more frugal as we can in all areas of life, and I certainly support measures to save money, but I certainly do not support measures that will affect local communities and where local communities could actually be very adversely affected as a result of some of the proposed cuts by government in local government. Therefore, this perhaps is a very timely reminder that when local government is called on to try and put through something that will support their local community, this has been done in this case on Stewart Island by the locals, supporting themselves, standing up for themselves and putting their best foot forward to try and improve their local amenities and their local community services. We strongly support it. We think New Zealand First, in terms of New Zealand First, we think this is a great initiative on behalf of a community doing something for itself, and also the local government people, local central government people working with local government to ensure there is a better outcome for all. And at the end of the day, Mr. Speaker, at the end of the day, it is a great shame if in this country if we're going to start seeing increased conflict between local government and central government, because at the end of the day we're only 4.5 million New Zealanders. We do rely on working together to make this country a better place, and I certainly would not like us to start moving down the track of central government becoming very adversarial towards local government, because that will not see this country going forward in the future. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I call the Honourable